Hello there, I'm Dr. Powell. This video is more of a public service announcement for those individuals who have concerns about these cracks appearing in their newly transplanted grafts region. These cracks I'm referring to are these lines or canals that form between the scabs of the transplanted grafts themselves, as seen in this photo here. First off, I want to say that there is nothing to be alarmed about. The appearance of these cracks will not have a bad effect on the final result of the hair transplant procedure itself. So in this video, we're going to talk about why these cracks occur, how to prevent them, and if they do occur, how to mitigate them. So let's take a look at another photo. So let's call this guy Bob. He called me in a panic because of the appearance of these cracks, because he was afraid that he had somehow dislodged and lost a bunch of the grafts. And I had to explain to him that that was not the case, and his grafts and hair transplant were perfectly fine. So why is this happening? After a hair transplant procedure, there's inflammation, which is a normal part of the healing process. This inflammation causes swelling, which stretches the scalp skin tissue. On top of that, you also have scab formation and wound contraction. Scabs form as a normal part of the healing process, and they perform a very important function. First, they stop and control blood loss. Second, they provide a defense against infection. And third, they protect the underlying tissue that's healing from contamination by dirt, debris, and bacteria. The amount of scabbing that occurs is influenced by a number of factors, which include the size of the area that's being transplanted, the number of grafts that are being transplanted, the size of the grafts themselves, the density of the graft placement, your personal wound healing characteristics, as well as, more importantly, your scalp washing technique after the surgery. If cracks are going to appear, they're usually going to appear in the first 3 to 4 days after a hair transplant procedure, and this is because swelling is at its maximum in the first few days after surgery. This is also occurring in combination with wound contraction, and the occurrence of these two phenomena together can lead to the appearance of these cracks. Imagine, if you will, two lines drawn on a rubber band or balloon, and you apply tension to the rubber band or balloon. This tension will begin to distort the lines and move them further apart. When this tension is released, they will come back to the normal positions closer together. And this is essentially what's happening when you see the appearance of these cracks. The number one reason why these cracks appear is because of poor washing technique. You need to follow proper washing technique to minimize the accumulation of excessive scabbing, because excessive scabs can actually slow down the wound healing process and make the wound more prone to inflammation and bacterial infection. If cracks do appear, they will disappear with proper washing technique. For the first 3 days after a hair transplant procedure, you cannot apply any mechanical pressure to the scalp, so no touching of the hair transplant region. So washing is going to consist of pouring cups of sudsy water over the transplanted region and then rinsing with clean water afterwards. On day 4, the grafts are pretty well anchored in, and it's at this time that we'd instruct you to apply gentle mechanical pressure using only your fingertips. In a circular motion, you're going to help to massage the area to help clean the area of excessive crusting and scabbing. Don't be afraid to apply this pressure. You're not going to dislodge grafts and lose grafts. So like I said, at this point, the grafts are very well anchored in and at very low risk of being dislodged. The other main reason why these cracks occur is because of excessively dry scalp. Excessively dry scalp is bad for a transplant because it can actually delay wound healing and lead to more scarring. And individuals who are prone to having dryness of the scalp would benefit from using moisturizing shampoos and conditioners. You'd also want to avoid using excessively warm or hot water, because this would accelerate the loss of natural scalp oils, which would also contribute to dryness. With proper washing techniques, the transplanted area should look like a clean buzz cut, as in these photos here. Sometimes, however, despite following proper washing techniques, there are a few stubborn scabs that don't seem to want to come off. These can be helped along by using one or all of the following techniques. The first one would be to allow the area to sit under the running water of the shower head for a few extra minutes, allowing them to become hydrated, and they would fall off much more easily this way. The other option would be to apply a moisturizing shampoo, allowing it to sit on the area for a few extra minutes. This would allow you to clean them off much more easily. The last technique would be applying a moisturizing conditioner, allowing it to sit on top of the scalp and scabs for a few minutes after your hair washing process. And this again would also make it easier for the scabs to be cleansed off the scalp. What I do want to mention is that you should never, and again, never use your nails to try and pick off a stubborn scab. The reason being is that these scabs are very adherent or stuck to the shaft of the hair follicle, and if you apply this excessive mechanical force, you can run the real risk of pulling out the follicle, including the regenerative bulb, causing you to lose that graft. The loss of the graft would be evident by the appearance of spots of fresh blood. Well, that's the end of this video with the main message of don't be like Bob, don't be a crackhead, and don't be afraid to wash your scalp the way that we teach you. We would never tell you to do anything that would harm those grafts. Good scalp hygiene after hair transplant is extremely important to protect the survivability of those grafts and to prevent infection, allowing them to grow in healthy and strong. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. Please stay tuned for more videos in the future.